silence, you know. First of all, I just want to say I was like your daughter. The notes hum and continues to disrupt the class. I've always been extremely talkative, so I was more surprised than anyone to find myself called to silence. I truly believe it has transformed my life more than anything, more than having children, more than marriage, more than therapy. The teacher's silence has been my greatest teacher and transformational agent. You know, we live in a world that so desensitizes us. The noise, and every day, it seems to me lately, I see more evidence of that, of how now it takes bigger and more outrageous acts for us to respond with outrage. Because the level keeps rising, the ante keeps being upped, we are so desensitized. And silence is this opportunity to become sensitive again, to hear the sound of the trees and the birds and notice the lavender. And so for me, it became this space twice a month where I went into a sensitivity chamber. You know, and the other thing I love in your poem, that you read, that phrase, private ear. Mm-hmm. You know, because every single Monday there is a lesson or a teaching or a gift for me, some not so easy. And one of the greatest gifts has been silence taught me to listen. It showed me and taught me to listen to myself and to others, to my family, and to listen in that clear space of non-ego involvement. When you were talking about breakfast story, and this isn't a book, but I have to share this story. I was at an artist colony in Illinois, and it happened to be a day of silence, the day everyone first arrived, and they have a dinner, and this is a place north of Chicago where artists and composers and poets and dancers and writers and visual artists and all kinds come, and they're given a residency and left alone to do their work with no obligation for anything. And the first night, there's at the dinner table, you're all going to want to go, just find an art to do, because they make all your meals, they leave you alone, they change your linens. And it's great, because it is like being a child again in a safe and nurturing place. And so the first night at dinner, everyone goes around the table and they tell who they are, what their art form is, some experiences they've had, what they've done, anything they want to share, much like you do, but around their art. And I was in silence. So as they started, I'm like, first of all, went into a real place of anxiety because I began to feel invisible, because everyone else could tell who they were and I couldn't. And then I fell into, oh my God, that person is just so full of themselves. And that's how we'll be saying. I just had 4 openings in Chicago, and I'm in 3 galleries there, and 1 gallery sold out before the show opened. I'm thinking, oh, please. And then, the next person said to me, I'm going, oh, these people are just so incredibly full of themselves, and I was just so full of judgment, everyone in the room. And then I got silence rescued me, because it brought me to that space where I could actually hear. And what I heard is exactly what you were saying. I heard the child just wanting to be seen and recognized and appreciated. And I just wanted to weep. And I thought, we all just want to be seen. We just want, that's the yearning, is we just want to be seen and valued. And we choose, screwy ways of doing it. And when I kind of surfaced from that opening that silence had created for me of empathy, truly I did just want to weep, I want to weep now thinking of it. I just truly felt connected to everyone in the room. And it didn't matter whether they knew what I did or not. I mean, the ego fell away, because so often voice, speech is the organ of ego, and silence is the space of soul. And it started my whole residency at a great place, because I was just completely without, at least for that one precious moment, without judgment and just acceptance and a perfect space of like ego resting the ego and just opening the heart. And I could never have gotten there without silence. And when I listen to you speak, first of all, I was really moved, and secondly, I just love the sisterhood of the experience of silence and the connection, so I appreciate that. You know, as women, we've been silenced so often, historically, culturally, by our own experience, that, you know, we'll be damned if we're going to be silenced now, you know. And exploring that difference between choosing, the power of chosen silence, as opposed to the disempowerment of being silenced. And silence taught me the power in it, you know, and the great, great understandings that can rise up, the great understandings of self and others, and the peace. I always envision silence as creating space, and within that space, things happen. It's a very dynamic place. And what I often picture too is our lives, like, just imagine a printed page of a book, and then imagine that someone came and took all the margins away, so that the text moved to the edges of the page. And then imagine that all space between lines was removed. And the lines now are very close in a block of print, and then there's no indentation. And then imagine that the space between words is taken away, and the words, and then imagine the space between letters is gone. And it's just a block of black that can make no sense. And it seems to me without silence, that's our lives. And composers that I introduce tell me that, and it's certainly not new, it's the spaces that create the music. It's the spaces in paintings, that negative and positive, that create the art. And it's the space of silence in our life that gives it meaning and creates opportunity for art and creativity. And we are so bereft without it that it makes me so sad to the marrow of my bones of what has happened in our world, that we have been so robbed of the honoring of silence, that there's almost no place we can go anymore to be quiet. Even places that historically were quiet are just so noisy now. Libraries and hospitals are just incredibly noisy. I've taught women in jail, not as an inmate, but as a guest, creative writing. And the jails are I think, how could we ever expect anyone to heal there? The food is terrible, the noise is unending. There's no exercise, there's no help brought there. It's just about punishing. You know? But the noise in particular, the noise in our schools, the noise everywhere. I had to go to Chicago recently, and when I was actually Hawaii, not that it matters. And I was at Logan Airport in Boston the night before because it was a very early flight. So I went into the hotel dining room, and I swear this is true. It was, the hotel doesn't matter, I guess, Marriott, like Courtyard by Marriott. At each table was a television set and a remote.
Oh, God.
And at each table, it was like, okay, we can't even eat alone. We can't, unless there be no silence. You know, okay, maybe you're traveling, God forbid. A book can no longer do it when you're eating alone. Now you have to have a television with your own remote. And it's become a kind of madness. And so each time one of us says stop to our world and reclaim that space, it's changing on some level that madness. And it's certainly changing it in our lives. And on Silent Mondays, I am so efficient, I get so much done. And at first I thought, well, it's because I'm not on the phone. And then but it's not, it's bigger than that. And one time I had to go grocery shopping, and usually like okay, I've got like 45 minutes, I think I can get over there and back if I really rush and don't, and I went shopping on a silent day, and I just floated through the market. I took my time. The produce section, I thought, oh, I wonder if I've never tried. I mean, it was completely without any stress. I got in line. I wasn't like, well, this person in front of me, why don't they get somebody, who can operate the machine. No, it was just like it didn't matter. And it took me exactly the same amount of time to shop as it did when I'm like frantic. So I don't understand that, but you're right. There is a definite flow to silence that expands time that Einstein could probably explain, but I can't. Thank you.